Hello, Kamani Jeev, and you're all very welcome to join myself and Tom for this next hour of Irish Television Chicago here on Channel 25. Tom Looney is of course back with us after his 6-week visit to Ireland, and the good news is that Tom and Bridge brought the camera with them.
Yes, we did, Siobahn, and we had a beautiful trip. Good evening, and it's good to be back in good old Chicago again. We did have a great trip. We visited a number of places, including bringing the camera up to Croagh Patrick, and also to Armagh Cathedral, which we'll fill you in on future features on this weekly show. Meanwhile, we'll have some music for you now, and that's the Bards.
In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do now. Girls, here's a good recipe for you, for that husband or that boyfriend of yours. Instead of giving them the usual things that you give them, roast beef or roast mutton or McDonald's burgers or whatever you give them, I have the job for you next Sunday. Now, give them this. You can take out your pen and paper if you like and write it down. This is a great recipe for a famous Irish traditional dish, a delicacy, called cannon. I'll tell you how to make it now in a minute. I want to dedicate it to a group of people in from Wexford County, my own home county, Wexford down here. They know what called cannon is all about. Called cannon, to put a red head on a turkey. On a turkey. If you eat enough of it. Okay, I'll tell you what to do, girls. Now, you're only going to hear this recipe once, so pay attention. First thing you need to make called cannon. Called cannon, by the way, was an absolute must in Ireland in days gone by, particularly on Halloween night. Say back up to 1965, there wouldn't be a house in Ireland who wouldn't serve called cannon on Halloween night. Gone out a bit lately, but we started a campaign back in Ireland there about a year ago to bring it back. And you'll find it now on plenty of menus, from Donegal to Wexford. This is the recipe. The first thing you need for called cannon is a big saucepan, a good big one with the 2 big lugs on the side of it. You know that job. Put that up on the cooker first, with about 5 stone of mashed potato in it. 5 stone of spuds in this big pot. Now, you're ready to start then. Now, first little ingredient is a few scallions. Say about roughly 6 scallions to every stone of potatoes. Now, in case you're wondering what scallions are onions. You know, I have to explain this because we have a few fellas from Japan down there in the back. You know, they wouldn't know what we'll be talking about. So chop off the onion head and chop up the greens of the scallion or the onion into the spuds, and then get the wooden spoon. Give her this job. Give her an old dart of the wooden spoon, you know. Like that. Now, ingredient number 2 is a stalk of curly kale. Now, I don't know whether you grow curly kale out here or not, but if you don't, a head of cabbage will do grand. That's the nearest thing you can get to curly kale. Red cabbage, white cabbage, or green cabbage doesn't matter. Chop up the cabbage into the spuds and give her another dart of the spoon. Like that. We call it the taché with the wooden spoon. I won't tell you exactly what the taché means, but it means a good old stir, you know, of the old wooden spoon. Now, friends, or ladies, the next ingredient is the one you have to be very careful with. You'll need rubber gloves on you for this. Now, put on the rubber gloves and go down the road and pull 12 or 14 good fiery nettles out of the ditch. Now, pick the nettles that want to get out on the road. You know. The ones that look to have a good rip in them. And bring them back to the kitchen. And put them down on the kitchen table and have a good look at them. Just look at the nettles like that. Hello, nettles. And then think of the husband. Or the boyfriend, or whoever you propose to give the called cannon to. Then look at the nettles again. You have a great way of getting your own back here. Now you have to ask yourself a very fundamental question here. Do you put in the nettles with the sting in them? into the pot, or do you take out the sting first? That's up to you. My advice to you is give him the nettles with the sting in. Horse it into him while he's young. That's the boy. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That's the boy that'll make him say his prayers on Sunday. That's the boy that'll soften his cough. Oh, what? Oh, what? That's the chap. Oh. And there's a woman over there on the left, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gave it to her husband last night, you know, whether she loved. Did you give him Carl Cannon? He seems to have the head of it. I'd say you put the nettles and all in. Okay, the next ingredient now, you have to get a mug of buttermilk after that. 1 mug of buttermilk, just to quieten down the nettles a bit. Throw it in that way. Another shot of the spoon. You're nearly there now. You're nearly there. Nearly there. Give her a stir like that. And finally, you put the traditional hole on top. Now, you do not do that with the spoon. You do it with your elbow, like that. Just like that. Then you're there. Now, give them 3 platefuls of that. Every Sunday for 4 Sundays in a row. My Jesus, do you know what? Talking about making a man of him. He'd be doing handsprings around the garden. You know, he'd be flying. Don't forget it. That's the recipe. We'll be back in 12 months' time. If he's still alive, let us know. Did you ever eat Carl Cannon? Made from lovely pickled cream, with the greens and scallions mingled like a picture in a dream. Did you ever make a hole on top to hold the melting flake of that creamy flavoured butter that your mother used to make? Ah, you did, so you did, so did you, and so did I. And the more I think about it, shoulda nearer rhyme to cry. Waiting down the happy days when troubles we knew not, and our mothers made Carl Cannon in that little skillet pot. Did you ever take potato cake and boxty to the school, tucked underneath your oxter with your books, your slate and rule? And when the teacher wasn't looking, sure a great big bite you'd take of that creamy flavoured, soft and melting sweet potato cake. Ah, you did, so you did, so did you, and so did I. And the more I think about it, shoulda nearer rhyme to cry. Waiting down the happy days when troubles we knew not, and our mothers made Carl Cannon in that little skillet pot. Did you ever go courting?
Mercy.
When the evening sun went down and the moon began a peeping from behind the hill down, and you rambled down the boreen where the coquelin was seen, and you whispered lovely phrases to your darling sweet Colleen. Ah, you did, so you did, so did you, and so did I. And the more I think about it, shoulda nearer rhyme to cry. Waiting down the happy days when troubles we knew not, and our mothers made Carl Cannon in that little skillet pot. Come on, give it a try. Ah, you did, so you did, so did you, and so did I. I'll start. And the more I think about it, shoulda nearer rhyme to cry. Waiting down the happy days when troubles we knew not, and our mothers made Carl Cannon in that little skillet pot. Woo!
idea.
Don't forget it. Try it on him.
That was the Bards, who had an incredibly successful visit to the Abbey here in July. And while we were enjoying the Bards, Tom was climbing Croagh Patrick with his camera, as he was telling us. Hopefully the weather was milder than it was here in Chicago at the time.
Yes, it was beautiful. The weather, I've been around Croagh Patrick and climbed it in the past, but it was an absolutely beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky, which is a little unusual for the top of Croagh Patrick, at least. Usually they got a little mist or snow, not snow, but a little rain as a rule. Some great shots we got there, and of course it was great to see the many people in the pilgrimage up there, you know, especially so many people climbing in their bare feet with all them rocks and everything.
It takes a strong pair of feet to do that. And of course you didn't just confine yourself to the west of Ireland, I think you travelled all over the place.
Yes, we did. We travelled to the north, extensively covered areas in the north this time. Of course, we visited the Lakes of Killarney, which was always a pretty sight. And we visited Dublin, of course, with the Millennium, and a very interesting sightseeing bus trip there, which we'd like to share with our audience in the upcoming weeks.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to that one in particular. And of course, while they were doing all this Dublin visit, we were making arrangements for Patrick Street to play here at the Abbey, and they're playing this Wednesday, August 24th. Don't miss it. An incredibly talented Irish traditional band. But before we get even to Patrick Street, right now we have a band called the Irish Brigade, and they're singing for us on the stage.
Welcome back. Now that we've been talking about Croagh Patrick and County Mayo, I'd like to introduce you to a great Mayo group, and here they are, the D Team.
By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young girl calling. Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole two legends calm, so the young might see them all. Now a prison ship lies within against the famine and the ground. I remember they cut me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Long lie the field of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. By along the harbour wall, she watched the last star falling as the prison ship sailed out against the sky. For she leave an open grave for love on Botany Bay. It's so lonely round the field of Athenry. Long lie the field of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry.
Good evening, this is Eamonn Kelly with Irish Sports, sponsored by Craig and Federal. Coming up this evening, we have a special report on yesterday's big football semi-final, a review of the first soccer games of the new season in Ireland, and a video report on the Irish Oaks Greyhound race, which was of course special interest to the Chicago Irish this year. First to soccer, Shamrock Rovers opened the season in Dalymount Park, their shared home ground, with a 2-0 victory over Longford Town. Back in the Rovers camp this season is Captain Mike Burns after a short spell of playing in Holland, and a new addition, 21-year-old Rick McAvoy, who Rovers have managed to lure from Luton Town in England. McAvoy was very impressive in the Rovers midfield, forming a very strong and productive midfield lineup. Player manager Noel King said he was happy with the result, but said that the team still had more work to do before it reached the standard he was hoping for this year. Dundalk, who faced the Yugoslav team Red Star of Belgrade in the European Cup game next week, could only manage a draw against Bohemians at Oriel Park. Dundalk went ahead in the 14th minute with a goal from Des Gorman, but the Dublin team killed Dundalk's hopes for a win just 5 minutes from the end when John Burns scored a beautifully taken goal 20 yards out from the goal. Now to greyhound racing. The most prestigious race in Irish dog racing is the Mecca Irish Oaks. Only top quality hounds qualify to participate in this competition. Carrying the flag for Chicago Irish this year was the appropriately named Chicago Flame. The trap selection was made by Mrs. Pauline Kelly, and here's RTE's Michael Lester to give you the report.
Tony Murphy supervises, makes sure they're all turned the proper direction, gives the signal for the hare to start. The bell goes in less than 20 seconds. The final of the 88 Mecca Irish Oaks will be on. In trap 1, Deanside Echo. In 2, Matron's Doll. In 3, Chicago Flame. In 4, Michigan Mora. In 5, Tracy Bud. And in 6, Yale Princess. There comes the hares behind the trap. Up it goes. Yale Princess out fast, but Tracy Bud flies out from 5. Michigan Mora now showing pace to go up inside her. And Michigan Mora now shows in front from Tracy Bud in second. Into the back straight. Number 4, Michigan Mora is showing in front. Tracy Bud on the outside, closing. Deanside Echo in third. As a race into the third bend. Michigan Mora in front. Tracy Bud now running on strongly. Deanside Echo in third, but Michigan Mora is really running on well. Michigan Mora from Tracy Budd in second. Tracy Budd has to change sides. Up the home straight. Michigan Mora the far side. Tracy Budd getting up. And Tracy Budd gets up in a thriller to win from Michigan Mora, with Deanside Echo finishing even faster in third. What a marvellous finish. We'll leave it to the judge, I suppose, but I think Tracy Budd has just shaded it on the line.
Time now to turn our attention to Croke Park for the big All-Ireland football semi-final between All-Ireland champions Cork and Connacht champions Mayo. Well, the result of that game means it's going to be another Cork-Meath All-Ireland final. A report, or should we say a repeat of last year's finals. Yesterday's game was played before a gate of 40,000 people in ideal weather conditions compared to the gale force wind which virtually ruined last Sunday's Cork-Monaghan game. Meath proved the odd makers to be correct by defeating Mayo with the final score of 16 points to 2 goals and 5. The 5-point margin is an accurate reflection of Meath's superiority. With neither team having any advantage with a slight but unnoticeable crosswind, it was a strange game and mostly of substandard football, with the exception of the last 20 minutes. It was strange in the sense that both teams were dressed in unfamiliar attire, and to avoid an obvious colour clash in which green would dominate both sets of jerseys, a change had to be made to avoid confusion. Meath played in yellow jerseys with green stripes, and Mayo wore red jerseys with a narrow green waistband. Mayo started off with great spirit and determination in the hope of defeating Meath and the odds and qualify for their first All-Ireland since 1951. In the early stages, Mayo were winning control in centre field, but could not carry this dominance through to the scoreboard. Meath then opened the scoring in the first attack of the game with a pointed free from Brian Stafford. Mayo applied a lot of pressure, from which they almost scored a goal in the 5th minute from Liam McHale. Now we join Gerry Canning of RTE for his description of this near miss.
Mayo with this free. Martin Carney just outside the 45-metre line, flicking it in towards McHale. Oh, it came down and well taken by the goalkeeper at the far post. Down to Kevin Foley.
In an extremely low-scoring first quarter, Mayo did not register their first score, a point from a Martin Carney free, until the 20th minute of the game. In fact, after 25 minutes of play, the game was tied with both teams scoring only 2 points each. Despite the Mayo forwards being supplied with plenty of opportunities, they seemed to lack the confidence to overcome the very solid Meath full-back line. With 12 minutes to go to half-time, Meath started to get the upper hand at midfield, and in addition, the arrival of Colm Coyle from the Meath bench seemed to be the booster shot that they needed. Shortly after his arrival, Meath launched several attacks, the first of which caused anxious moments around the Mayo goal. Meath added 3 more points to end the first half with a 6-point lead, 8 points to 2. Here's Gerry Canning now with the match play.
Went around Jimmy Brown, taking it on the outside, then inside on the left-hand boot. Across it goes to McCabe, and that's Colm Coyle over the bar. His first point since coming on, increasing Meath's lead. Taken by Frank Noon. 3 players around him, and the ever-alert Brian Stafford there too, as Matty McCabe turning on the right boot, and that sails over. McCabe's first point. And there are 4 between them once again, and the Meath followers are happy. And Gerry McEntee, a good move this. Will it finish with a score, however? It certainly does. Coyle second. He's done well since coming on, Colm Coyle.
Following the poor performance of the Mayo forwards in the first half, the team mentors were faced with a challenge at the interval in terms of restructuring their entire offense. The few changes that were made by Mayo at half-time had little significance as Meath scored a point after 17 seconds and followed with 3 more minor scores within the next 9 minutes. However, in the 13th minute, Mayo supporters came alive as Noel Durkin started a great move around the 50-yard line, which ended up with a spectacular goal from Liam McHale. RTE cameras captured that goal for us.
Elected to kick to Dennis Carney, who's now playing up around the half-forward line. Fisted down into space. They waited for it, weren't expecting it. McHale, the shot, a goal!
With only 7 points now between the teams, the game was becoming more of a contest, and a great last quarter seemed to be in the offering. There was some fine football for the next 10 minutes, during which time both teams added to the score. Mayo were gradually regaining their grip at centre field, with TJ Kilcannon having a wonderful game. His great efforts were rewarded, and starting in the 28th minute, Mayo played their best football of the game, in which they scored 1 goal and 1 point within a 2-minute span. Again, let's go to Gerry Canning of RTE as he describes Mayo's last moments.
Dennis Carney drilled it in high. McQuillan wondered whether to come, whether to stay. In the end, he fumbled. It broke out and spilled away from his grasp to Finnerty, who pulled on it well and into the corner.
With only 4 points between the teams and 6 minutes to go in the game, the quietness that had hung over Croke Park earlier now transformed into total bedlam as Mayo tried with everything they had to sustain this attack. With 2.5 minutes to go, the huge Mayo contingent went wild as Lee McHale punched the ball into the net. But he was judged to be in the square and the goal was disallowed. That was Mayo's last attack, and Meath ended the game, the deserving winners, by the 5-point margin. So now we wait the big clash for the All-Ireland title between Mayo and Cork at the National Stadium, Croke Park, on September the 18th. And also on the local scene here in Chicago, all of the big league games are over with for 1988, as the Harry Bolins became the winners in the Chicago League and will represent Chicago in San Francisco on Labor Day in the American League playoffs. And in football, it's going to be Wolf Tones this year, as they came out of Chicago after a great challenge both from John McBride's and from the other team that's better known as St. Brendan's. And now McBride's will, of course, should we say, Wolf Tones will now represent Chicago in San Francisco over Labor Day weekend. And with that, it's Eamonn Kelly saying goodbye in sports for yet another week.
Well, thanks to Eamonn Kelly for that report. Good to have you back, Eamonn, from your trip in Ireland. Also, I'd like to thank Pat Looney for filling in over the last few weeks. Siobahn?
Well, of course, coming up on tonight's show, we have Shay Duff, and a special treat for Shay Duffin fans. We haven't heard from him in a long time. And we have a feature on Milwaukee Fest, where we all spent the weekend. And I might add that if you weren't at Milwaukee Fest, you missed an awful lot of fun. We hope to bring you just a glimpse of that fun tonight. But right now, Christy Barry and Gerry Herrington.
Well, we have a good group here in the Abbey Pub right now, Marty Martin and Tony McCabe. But over the weekend we saw some great groups at the Irish Fest in Milwaukee. Here's the feature we did on that.
Lovely. Now I need your help.
Maureen from Beloit, Wisconsin.
Is that all right with you?
What's the news on me brown chandelier with your long barrel gun from the sea? Say what wind from the south blows the mass in your ear with the hymn of the dawn for the free. Whittling news, do I bring you the fort? Whittling news, shall you hear, party man? Oh, the boys march it on from the south to the north, led by Kelly, the boy from the land. Tell me who is the giant with the gold curling hair, he who rides at the head of your band. 7 feet is his height, with some inches to spare. He looks like a king in command. Me lads, that's the pride of the bone, Shelmanair, looks our heroes, the bravest of men. Fling your beavers aloft and give free ringing cheers. Watch young Kelly, the boy from the land. In a scarlet, these in flames, and down Wexford is won. And tomorrow, the barrow we will cross. On a hill all the town, they have planted a gun. But that time, the gateway to us. All the fort and the regiment would march, all the heat would pray for me to lead in the van. But the foremost of all, in the grim gap of death, will be Kelly, the boy from the land. But the golden sun of freedom who darkened the bus, and have set by the slaves red wave, and poor Wexford stripped naked hung high on the cross, with her heart pierced by traitors and slaves. Glory, oh, to the brave sons who died on the cause of long downtrodden man. Glory, oh, to Mount Leinster's own darling mankind. Dauntless Kelly, the boy from the land. What's the news, only bone Shelmanair, with your long arrow gun from the sea? See what wind from the south blows the messenger here with the hymn of the dawn for the free. Good lean news, do I bring you the poor? Good lean news, shall you hear, party man? Of the boys march you down from the south to the north, led by Kelly, the boy from Gillan. Of the boys march you down from the south to the north, led by Kelly, the boy from Gillan. Thanks very much.
Pick it up pretty good. Mike, could I get? We couldn't even get in there. There's even nowhere we can get through.
For the best in traditional Irish entertainment, join your friends at the Abbey Pub, the home of Irish television Chicago, located at 3420 West Grace. The Abbey offers a wide variety of activities, including the best of Irish musicians from around the world. So whether you're in the mood for great live entertainment or just a friendly game of darts, you can find it and more at the Abbey Pub on the corner of Grace and Elston. Open weekdays from noon till 2 a.m., Saturdays till 3 a.m.
Well, once again, we've come to the end of another show. But we have some more music for you tonight. Siobahn?
Some wonderful music, Tom, from the Barleycorn. Now, if you missed them at the Abbey, if you missed them when they played at Irish Fest, don't miss them on vinyl. This is their latest album. It's called My Last Farewell. It's a wonderful sampling of everything the Barleycorn have to offer in music, which is an entertainment in itself. And if you're not convinced about the album yet, listen to our closing track tonight because they really are wonderful. Before we go, I have two things to say. One is a great welcome back to Tom, who's been away for so long. We missed you desperately. The fun hasn't been the same since you were gone, but hopefully we'll get back.
Good to be back.
And the second thing is a phone number for you. If you want to call in with any comments, complaints, or just to say hello to us here on the show, it's...
Well, please do call us. 539-6000 is the number. 539-6000. We would welcome any of your comments. Pro or con, I'd say. We'd be welcome. They'd be welcome. 539-6000.
Just ask for any of the ITC staff.
We would appreciate the little input on how the show is going, and constantly we work at trying to improve it, and hopefully we can. Meanwhile, until next week, that's all for Irish Television. Good night.
Good night.
Well, we recorded a song some time back which spent a while in the Irish charts. It was subsequently recorded by quite a few other people, including our good friend Paddy Riley. It's a song called The Fields of Athenry. Especially for anybody here from Galway. If anybody knows the chorus, we'd be delighted to hear you sing.
We'll do it for you. We'll do it very, very soon. Very soon. No panic.
Fields of Athenry.
Calling we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling. Nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they ran me down. Now you must raise our child with dignity. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where first we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely harbour wall, she watched the last star falling. As the prison ship sailed out against the sky, but she'll wait and hope and pray for her love in Botany Bay. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where first we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. Lo, lie the fields of Athenry, where first we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry.